And I have a job, but I quit my job and went to the ranch in Juneau, Texas, because that was close enough to get my shots in San Angelo, Texas. So my brother-in-law drove me there every week to get my shots so I could go overseas and wouldn't get all kinds of diseases from things. So in the meantime, I was learning to rope calves, ride horses, ride fence, looking for openings that sheep might go out through that belonged to my brother-in-law, and help him with the horses. And I had to wait till they sent me my ticket, my notice, and tell me where to go and when to go. In the meantime, I'm having to get all these shots, and I have to go to San Angelo always to get those. So I come back. When I got the first shots, they kind of hurt, because I don't remember what they were for now, because I was taking all kinds of shots for all kinds of things to keep me from taking them, the diseases. And so we stopped off at Mexico, at, below at Sonora, Texas, in Mexico. And we went over in Mexico, and when I walked through the door, the guy played El Rancho Grande for me. And we sat down and I had a drink. I don't know what it was, but I felt better. And then we went back across the border and went back to the ranch. Well, that was fine. He taught me how to shoot a gun while I was waiting for the next week to go get some more shots. And he taught me how to shoot a Camel cigarette off a tree. And a cigarette, the camel on the cigarette had a tail. He showed me how to shoot, because he shot it, and then he showed me how to do it, and I had never used a .22 long-range rifle. It's a short gun, but it's a rifle range. Well, I practiced the bullseye, and I could do the bullseye, so I figured I could shoot whatever it is I'm supposed to shoot. So he puts me up at 50 paces in a couple of weeks. It took to teach me how and everything. And he put the Camel cigarette package on the tree 50 paces back. He handed me the gun. I took it, and I learned to not aim. I learned to be ready, pull my hand up and shoot. All I had to do was look at what I was going to shoot at first. I didn't never aim. Well, I should shoot the tail off that Camel cigarette package. Well, I had fun doing that too. And I didn't know when I'd ever need a gun. But anyway, my brother-in-law was trying to help me learn things I never had learned. And so, in the meantime, just before I got my ticket to go to Seattle, Washington, to catch a ship to go overseas. I was riding fence. My brother-in-law had bought some black sheep, and the horses hadn't been used to those sheep. They'd been used to the white sheep. So I was helping him make sure there were no holes for those sheep to go through. And we was riding fence pretty good. And then my pants come out of my boot. One of them did. So I let go of the reins, stopped my horse, and was putting my pants out of my boot, over my boot. And then I was going to get the hold of the reins and keep on riding and checking the fence. Well, the horse got spooked by the black-faced sheep, and he threw me in the air. I went up and came down, and I caught the reins on the way down. The horse missed my head by 2 inches. My brother-in-law told me that. Said that Caballo almost got me. I thought, well, that mean old Caballo ain't gonna be boss. So I got back up on the horse, and I was, of course, he did touch my body with his shoe, and he had just been freshly shod. We had just put shoes on him. And he came down and he stepped on my leg, almost up to where the thigh led off to the buttocks. And my brother-in-law said, I'll go get the truck. If you'll wait here, we was about 7 miles from the ranch house. We come through 3 gates, riding fence. And he said, he go get the pickup. I said, no. This horse, I'm going to ride him all the way back to the ranch house. He ain't going to be the boss. I said, just open the gates. That's all I asked. So he did that, and he went ahead of me, opened the gates. And that horse and I never slowed up. I kept using the quirt on him. On his wheel. And I got there. Well, when I got there, I got off. And my sister-in-law come out and see what was wrong, because she knew we ought to be gone longer. My brother-in-law told her that she got thrown from the horse, the sheep got, the horse is spooked, and throwed her. And she wasn't sitting, her leg was up over the saddle like she was going to get off, but she was trying to pull her pants back over her boot so she wouldn't get it. If she passed the limb, it wouldn't cut her. And she says, oh my. So I said, I think I landed on a cactus, by the way. I need you to pull the little thorns out. She said, okay. So I went there and laid on the bed. She pulled them out, and one of them looked like a crochet needle. It was so big. I had 2 that size in my rear. So she got them out, but I decided I better go to a doctor. So I said, well, I was going to Fort Worth anyway to see my mother now. before I went. So I got ready, got me a bus ticket, and I went to Fort Worth. And I went to see a doctor, and he missed my playhouse. The horse did. Barely. The doctor said it was okay, though. So he stitched it. And then I got to visit with Mom and them. And then I went back to the ranch because I was expecting my orders to come through pretty soon. And I told everybody I'd see them when I got back from Japan. So I took off and went back down to Juneau, Texas. That's a big place to be. It's so big it has one store. And the Mexicans mostly did their buying there. And we did little buying there so we could feed the ones that worked on the ranch. And besides eating goat, they ate frioles real good. And I cooked on a wood stove. Every morning I made biscuits and stuff and everything. And that was fun. I enjoyed that. And I fed them their lunch. I had to make lunch for them. My brother-in-law and them always gave them 2 meals a day. And so I got my orders a couple of days after I got back to the ranch. And I got on the bus, and it took me down to the train station. I got on the train, went to Seattle, Washington. I ate some strawberry shortcake and some pork chops. I don't know which one made me sick, but one of them did. And it might have been both of them that made me sick. By the time I got to the base, at Seattle at the base, at Fort Lauderdale, I don't know. I got there, and we had to be examined, all of us. They checked to see if we had all of our inoculations, our shots and everything, and I'd had all of mine. And then I told him, I said, I'm sick in my stomach. I ate on the train, and I said, I'm sick in my stomach. So he said, examine me, the doctor did. He said, you got appendicitis. You got to have your appendix out. I said, I don't have no appendix. I've already had them out. He said, no, you got appendix. You got appendicitis. I said, sir, I've had my appendix out. I said, the doctor told me he took them out. He said, oh. He said, all right, can't do nothing for you then. I said, that's fine. I tried to tell you that when I told you I had them out already. So we stayed that night, and then the next day we went through some more and got our orders and had class telling us how we supposed to do when we got to Japan. and everything. And so we got aboard the ship. And they said if you eat crackers, you don't have to eat because you won't get sick. Well, that's a bunch of bull. I found that out. And I stayed aboard ship. When they called for the meal, I didn't go down and eat. I was standing there wondering, what in the world am I going overseas? Why am I going on this water? All the way over there. And I said, oh, gee whiz. And I said, I just don't understand this. Well, guess what? I got seasick. And I started throwing up. And I hate throwing up. But I throwed up. I'd go down, and we didn't have doors on our latrine, our bathrooms, the toilet part, where you'd have to throw up in it. There was no doors on there. And we'd be in a wave, 1 minute, be thrown in where you could be over the commode. Next time you'd be out there away from the I had a time, I finally got through throwing up, finally. And then, of course, we was below deck. We didn't have any rooms topside. We had rooms below deck. And so I went to bed. It was a bunk, but it was a bed. And I had the top bunk to boot, which I'd rather had the lower one, but there was other ladies going, and then there was soldiers had to have their rooms too. So anyway, I tried to enjoy it. And that night, after being so sick, when I finally went to bed, this was the second day. Because I went topside the next morning after being so sick. And I said, I understood we was going to have peaches for breakfast, plus whatever else there was, eggs and stuff. I said, would one of y'all bring me a peach up on the deck? Bring it topside to me, please. I just don't want to go eat no breakfast. But I want a peach. I'm going to eat that. They said, okay. So they bought me a big old peach. That big around. And it was the biggest peach I ever saw. But it was so good. And I laid on my stomach on my blanket, topside, all day. And when they opened the commissary on the ship, I gave somebody some money and sent them in to get me some peanuts and a Coke. And I ate peanuts and drank Coke the rest of the day. That's all I ate. But I got where I wasn't sick no more. And then I got to enjoy my trip. We had entertainers aboard ship from Australia. And them is the tallest women I ever saw in my life. I thought men 6.5 foot to 7 foot high, tall, those Australian women are too. They're that tall too. most of them, because they were good entertainers, and it was fun. And then after that, we done everything we could. We stayed topside most of the time. And when we got to, before we could get to Japan, we was in a hurricane. And I had never been in one. But as far as I know, that's what they called it. It wasn't a tornado or nothing like that. It was a hurricane at the sea, in the middle of the ocean. And 1 minute you'd see water, next minute you see sky. And it kept going back and forth. And they ordered us below deck. And being as stubborn as I am, and me and the girl from Georgia, we decided we was going to stay topside regardless. We took a chance on being washed overboard. But we didn't want to go below deck. They was breaking their legs down there. I couldn't believe how many people got their legs broke because they was trying to climb the stairs. But anyway, we stayed topside. We tied ourselves to the oil pipes on deck. We could have come loose and been washed overboard. But we didn't think about that. All we thought about was staying topside so we wouldn't break our legs down below. And they didn't know we was up there, or we'd have been in trouble. But wasn't nobody going topside to see if anybody was there. They'd already checked the decks. But we was tied to the long pipes. That was fun. Me and this girl from Georgia, we become real good friends. And well, we was good because we was at sea 13 days. And so we had fun. We went below deck. Some of them was seasick all the way to Japan. I sure am glad I wasn't. It was enough being sick as it was, because I hate being sick at my stomach, because I don't like throwing up. But anyway, I felt good the rest of the way. I didn't get seasick anymore. That first night was enough. And I guess I got used to it. It didn't bother me. And when we got to Japan then, we got out. We went up to Sendai. We had our quarters up there in the Japanese town of Sendai. And we got a train up to Sendai. We caught the train in Yokohama. And I was stationed on the other side of Tokyo. But we didn't go there right away. We went up to Sendai. We had our quarters. And gee whiz, I saw my first commode in the floor. That was uncomfortable to try to go to the bathroom with it in the floor. You stand up over it. This was in a Japanese-made place to stay. And the walls, you could see through them. They were paper. That was what was exciting. Paper. People could see you in there. I was glad when I come time to go back to where they had military commodes. At least it wasn't in the floor. That's kind of hard to go, but I learned that that's how they live, except if they're outside, they just go anyway. And, or that's how they used to do, and that's how they were still doing it way out of the way from military. But anyway, it was fun. I liked it. And there's there at the bottom of Mount Fuji is where it was, the tallest volcano. Mount Fuji is the tallest mountain in Japan. And I stayed there 3 days, and then my husband came. He came to the thing, and we left and went to Tachikawa, because Tachikawa is where we was going to live in a Quonset hut. So he was stationed at Beamcom, which is down just outside of Tokyo. And we rode a train all the way. They had an American car. Nobody from Japan could ride on it. They had to be Americans to ride on that particular car in that train. And we got to Tachikawa, and first time I'd ever been in a Quonset hut, and I've been in a lot of tents and things in my lifetime. And even without anything over me, on the riverbank, fishing, sleep out at night with blankets over you, and rocks under you, because you couldn't get all the rocks where you was going to lay. But Quonset hut was pretty nice. It had a kitchen, it had a porch with wood, because we had a fireplace, and it had 2 bedrooms. It also had a bathroom, and it had a living room. And the living room was kind of big, but not real big. It was bigger than the bedroom anyway. And so we